is safety. We are living in a time where voices are loud, opinions are endless, and direction is often missing. But here, we don't chase opinions, we pursue truth. This podcast exists to bring you sound biblical counsel, spiritual insight, practical wisdom, and honest conversations that help you navigate life with clarity, conviction, and purpose. Whether you're facing decisions, leading others, building relationships, or growing in your faith, you were never meant to figure it out alone. And now, your host of the Wise Counsel podcast, Apostle Barnabas. God bless you as you find wisdom, receive direction, and as your steps become more clear. Welcome to the Wise Counsel podcast, where truth cuts through the noise, wisdom anchors the soul, and lives are shaped by the Word of God. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." We are living in a time where voices are loud, opinions are endless, and direction is often missing. But here, we don't chase opinions, we pursue truth. This podcast exists to bring you sound biblical counsel, spiritual insight, practical wisdom, and honest conversations that help you navigate life with clarity, conviction, and purpose. Whether you're facing decisions, leading others, building relationships, or growing in your faith, you were never meant to figure it out alone. And now, your host of the Wise Counsel podcast, Apostle Barnabas. God bless you as you find wisdom, receive direction, and as your steps become more clear. Welcome to the Wise Counsel podcast, where truth cuts through the noise, wisdom anchors the soul, and lives are shaped by the Word of God. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." We are living in a time where voices are loud, opinions are endless, and direction is often missing. But here, we don't chase opinions, we pursue truth. This podcast exists to bring you sound biblical counsel, spiritual insight, practical wisdom, and honest conversations that help you navigate life with clarity, conviction, and purpose. Whether you're facing decisions, leading others, building relationships, or growing in your faith, you were never meant to figure it out alone. And now, your host of the Wise Counsel podcast, Apostle Barnabas. God bless you as you find wisdom, receive direction, and as your steps become more clear.
Welcome to Wise Counsel. Where wisdom leads, truth prevails, and your life finds good success. We are here for another wonderful episode. Um, just begin to share wherever you're at. You don't want to miss this. This is where wisdom leads, truth prevails, and your life finds good success, good alignment, good alignment. Uh, this is your host, Apostle Barnabas. Um, one of the inspiration of this podcast is to really bring to light issues that we have in our community, and such issues that we all are familiar with, but no one really talks about it. Matter of fact, I haven't heard much uh, discussion on this important issue that I want to talk about tonight. I hope you have been following. I just want to really say thank you so much for allowing us to do what has been really crying inside of us for quite a long time. I said I said this in our first show. I said that when God gives you a purpose, something to do, don't try to pass that over to somebody else because He gave that to you, and you can't pass that to someone else. We are all called um, to finish what He has put in us. So I'm grateful that I'm able to live this dream, this podcast dream. Uh, truly, I'm very, very grateful. So please help me share tonight and stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to this wonderful show tonight because we're talking about one of the destroyers in our community. I call it one of the destroyers in our community. One of the destroyers in our community. And talk about, we all experience this, we all know this problem exists, but not too many people talk about it. So help me tonight to talk about this. Be attentive and share this with somebody who needs it. Share this with somebody who needs it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be interviewing uh, another candidate, another candidate in our city running for mayor. I'm going to be interviewing um, not tomorrow, on Thursday. I'm going to be interviewing another wonderful candidate for mayor in this community. But let's talk about it. We see the title there. The title is very, very obvious. I want to talk about the root cause of baby mama and baby daddy drama. I want to I want to I want to talk about the root cause of baby mama, baby daddy drama. God bless you. My precious daughter Faith is on. Apostle Marcus, I see you. The rest of you wonderful um, supporters, I thank you so much. Thank you for being on tonight. Let's talk about it. I'm going to deal with one verse tonight, but I just want to really express a little bit on what this topic is really about. This is Wise Counsel podcast where wisdom leads, truth prevails, and your life finds good alignment. Good alignment. So there are many topics. There's going to be many, many topics on this podcast. And we bring wise counsel to every topic. We take the issues of our community and we bring wise counsel to it. Because the Bible said that where there is no counsel, the people fall. Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, in the multitude of counsels, um, there is safety, there is deliverance, there is growth, there is increase. Where there is no counsel, where there is no advice, where there is no guidance, where there is no wisdom, the people fall. But in the multitude of counsel, there is safety, there is happiness, there is success. So that's the inspiration behind this podcast, that we take issues that we all, common issues that we all know about, we all know exist, and we bring wise counsel to it. So tonight is another uh, opportunity to bring wise counsel to another wonderful topic. So I hope you're paying attention. Let's get right to it. You know, once upon a time, I am gonna be 37 this July, I believe so. When you start getting up there in age, you don't want to count it no more. I think I'm gonna be 37 this July 15. But once upon a time I was a 24-year-old young man. I was a 24-year-old young man, and I decided to move out of my mother's house. There comes a time where every young man is eager to move out on their own, and I found myself uh, uh, having a girlfriend when I moved out. Out of my mother's house, and this is such a common story for a lot of people in our community. Uh, and when I moved out, found a girlfriend, started shacking together. Um, all of a sudden, I had my first child. My first child, and then from that girlfriend, things got a little bit stressful. So I went and found another girlfriend, and had we stayed together for 3 years or so, and I had three children on that side, uh, and that's the reality. That's the reality. Here I am. I was a young man. Uh, Grew up without a father. Didn't even know much about uh, taking care of a woman. I didn't even know myself. I didn't even know anything about life. I didn't know my purpose. I had no direction at all. So I was put in a position of being a victim of my circumstance. In those days, you couldn't really tell me that I wasn't a man. But when baby starts coming, then people will begin to demand for you to be a man. But even if you're not ready to be a man, you better grow up real quick. But that's the reality, guys. That's the reality when you know two people get together, a boy or a girl or a man and a woman, not knowing the purpose of God, not knowing what God wants for them to do, and they begin to have babies together. And this is one of the destroyer in our community today. And there are so much animosity and anger within our society and within our community, and we refer to it as baby mama drama or baby daddy drama. I've been there, and I just want to really highlight the root cause of baby mama drama and baby daddy drama, because it's one of the Goliaths in our community. It's one of the Goliaths in our community today, and we need to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. I don't really hear a lot of podcasts on this sensitive topic. So this is what wise counsel is about. We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. So when a man and a woman, a boy and a girl, decide to start shacking up together and living together and begin to have sex, because that's what comes with it, and babies start popping out of that relationship. And obviously, if God has not ordained that relationship, things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. And because things go wrong, and it creates anger and animosity and bitterness between the the woman and the man, or the mother and the father, and the father leaves, the mother leaves, that there is bitterness, but there are children involved. There are consequences for every action in life, but we don't think about the children whenever we are making these mistakes. The children become a victim because now daddy has to leave, and then mommy's bitter, or vice versa, and the children become a victim. And why is that? And this is what we want to highlight. This is what we want to really speak to. You know, the the problem is, if you get with a man, or you get with a woman, and you have sex with each other, and you have a baby, if that is not your God given spouse or partner in life, it's going to be problems. You're going to cause a lot of uh, chaos. It's going to create a lot of problems. Why? Because you just had a child with somebody who, in the will of God, you are not supposed to be with that person. So this is what happens when we are not in the will of God. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the reality. The reality is that, and I put the verse there. I just wanted to give you a little backstory of what we're really discussing. The verse is right there. Proverbs 19, verse 21. It said, a man's heart may be full of designs. In life, we take it upon ourselves to do all kinds of stuff. We like to think like, we really like to think like we created ourselves, and we think that we can make all the decisions. But here is the reality, guys. God created us, and He created us with a purpose. Each one of us have a purpose. Whether you're male or female, you have a purpose. And in that purpose, whether you're a woman, there is a specific man that you are created to be with, or there is a specific woman that you are created to be with. So if you prematurely start having children with somebody who you God have not ordained for you to be with, uh, there's gonna be drama. This is what we refer to it as baby mama drama or baby daddy drama. What is that? These are two people who have had children together, and this relationship was not ordained by God. It was a sexual relationship. It was a relationship based on fleshy desire, or whatever the motivation was. But now you have had one, two, three children together, and And the reality has sat in, and there is nothing else to do besides live a life of anger and bitterness. There's a lot of young women, young ladies, young men who are bitter, and they're just living a life of anger. And they were once together. They once used to be sexual partners and had children together, and now they hate one another, and there's a lot of drama. And where does that drama come from? That drama may come from the fact that you have now realized that though you had a child with this person, but this was not your God ordained person, and the person is now most likely most likely with somebody else. And now you are by yourself with the children that you had with that person, and you are living a life of anger, and this is what we call baby mama drama and baby daddy drama. And who is the victim in this? The children. The children. And I really want to bring a solution, because if we don't talk about this, it's going to continue to be a cycle, as we see uh, 360 days in a year, two people who used to be together, who have had children together, are now angry with one another, and the children are consuming this anger. And it's such a shame, because I have experienced it, and it is a sad thing. Children suffer because of this. My I remember my firstborn, even till now, from age 3, my there was such animosity and anger that was created with the mother, and even to this day, I the relationship is still bad. Why? And one of the primary reasons is because I am now married to my God ordained or wife, and such a reality doesn't sit well with women that you may have had children with, or vice versa. And so, but that's the reality. For a very long time, I haven't seen my firstborn. For a very long time, I haven't seen my children as well, because when people you had children with, women you had children with, realize that you are now happy with the woman who is in the will of God for your life. uh, you know, that anger doesn't go away on their part. And there's a lot of women in that bracket. There's a lot of men and women who used to be with somebody, and now that person is somewhere else with the person they're supposed to be with, but the anger doesn't go away. They're living with that anger, and this is what we call baby mama and baby daddy drama. But we need to realize, and this is the way we need to really receive the healing from that, because we need to realize that even if you had children with somebody, if it wasn't God's will, you're wasting your time. And sometimes people are so angry, this person cheated on me, this person did this person did this person ran off, you know, to date somebody else, to marry somebody else. Well, that wasn't your wife, that wasn't your husband. You just had children with them. You two were living out of the will of God. You two were living out of the will of God. um, you two were shacking up, you two were fornicating, and you two were living out of the will of God. And the reality is that if that person is not in the will of God for your life, they're going to leave anyway. There's no need to be mad. There's no need to be mad where you have not been delivered from that anger, and the children are there, just breathing that anger, continuously. I really, I really, really grieve for the children that go through that, because this is such the most selfish thing. We say we love our children, but yet both mother and father, they are living with this anger, and they have allowed drama to just consume, and the children have no choice but to be victimized by this. And we need to really look at these things, because this is one of the Goliaths in our community. You know, where a child can go from 3 years old, experiencing drama, and even through the many years of living, the parents are fighting, the parents are separative, parents are hurtful, towards one another. And we say we love our children, but what we are feeding them is not love. It doesn't prove that we love them. And where does that come from? It comes from the fact that you too were not living in the will of God when you had the children, when you had the child. And now we need to come to terms with the fact that, you know what, this person, this man, this woman left me, but you know what? I should be happy for them because they're now living in God's will. That's what it's about. And that's what I want to read the verse. It says, a man's heart may be full of designs, but the purpose of the Lord is unchanging. Proverbs 21. Proverbs 19:21. A man's heart may be full of designs. It doesn't matter what we construct in our heart. Doesn't matter who we wanted to be with. Doesn't matter who we dated. Doesn't matter who we have had sex with. If it wasn't in the will of God, this verse is saying, remember that the will of God and the purpose of God for your life is unchanging. You can't change it. You can't change who you're going to marry. You can't change who God have given you as a wife or as a husband. So to all the baby mom, the mamas and the baby daddies out there who, you know, you know, have been bitter for a very long time, it's time to come to terms with the reality. The reality is, if you are not living, if you were not living in the will of God when you had those children, you should be happy that today you can start to live in the will of God. You can't be bitter when it wasn't in the will of God when we had children. If anything, uh, both the dad and the mom were cheating on God, because the only person you're supposed to have children with is your wife or your husband. The only person you're supposed to have sex with is your husband or your wife. That's the will of God. So when we have gone away from the will of God, we've shacked up and we've had children out of wedlock. We fornicated, and we children came from that, and and and, and now the children have fallen victim to the culture of anger. We need to stop that because it's not fair to the children. Even today, the drama is so much that children can't even experience the love from the father and from the mother, because the anger that is created from now living in the will of God is so damaging. This is a big, big issue in our community, and we need to really look at that. Think about this. When you and that man had those children, you were not living in the will of God. So why are you mad? Why are we angry? Why is it that you don't allow the children to see their father? Why is it that you don't allow the children to see their mother? Why is it that we don't get to a place where we teach our children the love of God, where we, no matter what has happened, we need to come to terms with the reality and the truth that, what, mommy and daddy, we were young. We made mistakes. We thought we were going to get married. We thought that, this was God's will for our life, but we realized it wasn't God's will. And I just want to celebrate where life is taking you. Though we were young and we had these children, but now I want to see you do well. I want to see my children know that their daddy is doing well, vice versa, or their mommy is doing well. Because of drama, the mom and the dad shouldn't be wishing each other evil, because at the end of the day, you had those children together. It should be a proud moment when the mom, though the father is not there, and the person you had a child with is not there. It should be a great time, a great opportunity to tell your children, "Hey, mommy and daddy, we're not living in the will of God." Can we say that? Can we be honest with our children? Can we sit our children down and say, you know what? I'm not going to be angry anymore at daddy. I'm not going to be angry anymore at mommy, because mommy and daddy were trying to do their own thing. We were shacking up, not in the will of God. We thought that we were in the will of God, but we are wrong because we were not in the will of God. We were just, fornicating in an apartment, and just living a selfish life. And we had these beautiful children. But now that God's grace has opened our eyes, you know, I bless God for your father. I bless God for your mother. And I pray all good things for your father, and I pray all good things for your mother. I think children should be in that environment. I think we have the responsibility to teach children. But my goodness, this baby mama drama stuff is destroying children. There are some fathers who have not seen their children in so long. There are some mothers who have not seen their children in so long, just because someone is angry because you know they were not in the will of God. If it's in the will of God, it will go right. Any relationship that's in the will of God is going to go right. It's going to go great. But when we are not in the will of God, things are going to be bad. And this is what has created baby mama, baby daddy drama in our community. And it's killing us, guys. It's really destroying us. It's destroying it's destroying our children. And who's gonna reap that? Who's gonna reap that? You know, mom and dad are responsible through their drama in causing many of the trauma that their own children are going through. The child that you say you love is going to experience trauma and difficulties because mom has been so angry, dad has been so angry. From a child, from a young child, they have been seeing their mother and their father fight like dogs, going to court, through going to child support court, fighting over simple things, just because they cannot be honest with themselves to say, hey, what we were doing before we had these children, we were living out of the will of God. Actually, how about being honest with the children? You two were cheating on God. You two were shacking up. You thought you knew it all. You thought that was your husband. You thought that was your wife. Came to find out that you can't make those rules for yourself. Came to find out that that person was not in the will of God for your life. Can we be honest with our children? Why should you live a life where you are so angry at somebody you had a child with 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago? You're still bitter because somebody left you who was not in the will of God for your life. You see how silly we are. You know, I've come to a place in my life a very long time ago, and I tell God, thank you for healing me. And and but it is a sad thing that I look back to the mistakes I made as a young man. I can now admit to myself that when I had those children with those two women, I had no clue. I was a young, damaged young man, didn't know anything about being a man, but here I was in the midst of young ladies who wanted me, who looked to me to be a man, and they themselves were messed up too. But I've come to the realization in my life that that was not the will of God for my life. So I accepted that. 12 years ago, I accepted that, and I've been living a peaceful life. 12 years ago, I accepted that. I accept that because when God opens your eyes and He brings you back into His purpose, all you can do is say, Lord, I'm sorry. I thought I thought I knew something about life, but I didn't know anything. And because of that, I messed some things up. So that removes the anger, that removes the animosity. But there are people, young mothers who had children with a particular man, or a young man who had a child with a particular lady 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they are still bitter. They are fighting like a dog. They don't even call on holidays, they even graduation time, they don't share that love together so that their children can see uh, uh, the true definition of love. And ladies and gentlemen, that you don't, let me tell you something. The devil loves when we keep going around in circles. And they asked the devil, they said, Devil, why you keep doing the same thing? You know what Satan said? Satan said, because it works. So the devil uses this cycle of abuse in our community, where we refer to as baby mama, baby daddy drama. And right here in our community, in every community, because no one speaks the truth. Being someone who's been there, I still have uh, women I had children with who are still very, very, very angry. And because I am now with my wife who is in the will of God for my life, they're still angry at me. Why did I leave them? Why did I have to go? Why did I marry somebody else? And vice versa. Because if we don't live in the will of God, it's always going to be drama. So the solution for peace and good alignment is to ask God, what is your will for my life? It's a beautiful thing when you meet the woman or a man who is in the will of God for your life. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And there is no substitute for that. But when I look back, when we were having children with women who we were just going through the motion of life, I can honestly say that that was not the will of God for my life. That's no reason for me to be angry. I I, I wish my prayer is that my daughter's mother and my three children's mother, that they will find wonderful men that will love them the way I love my wife or the way my wife loves me, because you have allowed anger to eat you up for so long, where we cannot bridge the gap and bring peace and teach our children. And this is a problem in our community. Baby mama drama, baby daddy drama is a repeated abuse in our community, and the devil just stands and laughs. The devil just stands and laughs. The devil don't need to destroy you. We destroy ourselves. The children are our future. Yet, what we are doing is feeding our future with anger, resentment, hatred. Now, all you do is just recite anger. Your children get to experience anger. Why can I go to daddy? Why can I go to mommy? Anger, selfishness, bitterness. Is this what we're teaching our children? All in the name of baby mama, baby daddy drama. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that at all. It shouldn't be like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better. We can do better. We can do better when we can be honest with ourselves. As a man, as a woman, we need to be honest with ourselves and be honest to our children. This is the greatest way we can teach them. Whether you're out there or used to be with a particular man or used to be with a particular woman, you had children together, and now you've realized that that wasn't the will of God for your life, and now you are in the will of God. You are married now. You've gone on with your life. There's no need to be mad. There's no need to be angry. Let's become teachers of our children. Let's become teachers of our children. And we need to take a look, we need to take a look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what are we allowing our children to see? We teach them not to be selfish. We teach them to forgive. Are we forgiving? We teach them not to be angry at other people. Are we showing them anger? We teach them to be considerate. Have we been considerate? Have we showed them how to be considerate? Why is it that your child has a father, but you won't allow them the peace to see their children? Why is it that you, as a father, you're so angry at the mother of your children that you won't allow her to be a mother to her children? How can such an environment be good for our children who are supposed to be so precious to us? Baby mama drama is destroying our community. The number one source of drama, chaos, trauma is baby mama, baby daddy drama. And I'm glad that God delivered me from that. And it was this verse that delivered me. And I'm going to read it before I leave. Proverbs 19:21. A man's heart may be full of designs. Uh, in those days, our heart was full of designs, all kinds of plans and devices. But the purpose of the Lord is unchanging. If you had a child with somebody, if that person is not in the purpose of God for your life, you will eventually leave for the purpose of God. That's not a reason for you to be angry, because two people who are living out of the will of God, you are heading for disaster anyway. It's good to live in the purpose of God. So now that we have realized that, mom, dad, we need to sit the children down and say, son, children, when mommy and daddy had you, they were not living in the purpose of God. And we said a lot of hurtful things because we were angry in the beginning. But I realize now that your mother is not the woman who I was supposed to marry. Or I realize now that your father is not the man who I was supposed to marry. But now that I am married, and now that she is married, I want to apologize for all the hurtful things I have said about your mother, I have said about your daddy, and I pray you forgive me, because this is not what I meant to teach you. I believe a lot of healing would take place. I believe a lot of healing and deliverance would take place. But because we had children out of the will of God, we have caused a lot of damages to our children. And we need to start healing. We need to start the healing. First, we need to be honest with ourselves. So I just wanted to speak truth and wisdom to one of the Goliaths in our community, whether this community or communities all around America, all around the globe. Baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, it's real. And it is the reason why our children are a mess. I I I truly pray that that angry woman, that angry father, that angry mother will come to a revelation that when you had those children, you and that man were not in the purpose of God. And it's okay. But you need to realize that it was not your fault. It was not his fault. He left you, it wasn't his fault. She left you, it wasn't her fault. However way you were hurt, it wasn't his fault, it wasn't your fault. What was the problem? You two were not in the purpose of God. That was not your husband, and You are not his wife. But there is somebody for you. And there is somebody for him. And I pray that when you find that person, that you will come back to the table and be honest with your child that you have spent many years abusing and polluting because you were bitter. And be honest with them and apologize to them and say, all the things I said about your daddy, all the things I said about your mommy, forgive me. I was angry, but I realized that I wasn't living in the will of God, and I became angry. But now I accept that, and I apologize for all the trauma I have caused because I was angry. That would be such a healing moment in our community. Such a healing moment. That's the reason people don't really talk about this topic. But on Wise Counsel, wisdom leads, truth prevails, and our life finds good alignment. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome to the Wise Counsel podcast, where truth cuts through the noise, wisdom anchors the soul, and lives are shaped by the Word of God. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety." We are living in a time where voices are loud, opinions are endless, and direction is often missing. But here, we don't chase opinions, we pursue truth. This podcast exists to bring you sound biblical counsel, spiritual insight, practical wisdom, and honest conversations that help you navigate life with clarity, conviction, and purpose. Whether you're facing decisions, leading others, building relationships, welcome to the Wise Counsel podcast, where truth cuts through the noise, wisdom anchors the soul.